where it says number of semesters, is that asking for how many you spent or how many you're going to?
How many have been here already? Yeah, how many semesters have we been here at Gateway? And then, well, how many rows are? Hey, go ahead and grab one of everything. And then we're all sitting in the first 2 rows over there. Okay. Oh, darn. Well, good afternoon, folks. It's been about 10 minutes. I think everyone who's coming is here, at least I hope. First of all, welcome. Thanks you all for sitting in the first two rows. This is a nice little cozy group, isn't it? It's just a few of us, about 10 students in the class, so we'll all have the opportunity to participate, talk, and ask questions. I think it'll be really nice. So, good morning, or, yeah, it's still good morning, right? I mean, it's not afternoon yet. If anything, it'd be before noon. I could say good before noon, or good morning. I'll probably say good morning. So, hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Gabriel. You can all feel free to call me Mr. G. Oh my goodness, another person, JR. Welcome, JR. Take one of everything over there on the shelf, and then find a comfortable seat in the first two rows over here. All right, you didn't miss anything, JR. We just started. All right, so please just set aside your materials for now. You can set your pencils down. I just want to share some important information with you so you can all relax. Okay, so first of all, thank you for signing in on the attendance sheet. I'll always have an attendance sheet sitting over on the shelf there. You'll notice there was an on-time column and a tardy column. So provided you're here by 11, you fill in the on time. At 11, my phone will go off, playing All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. I'll go over there and scratch out anybody who's not here yet, and then they have to sign in on the tardy line. And that's how I can keep track of people who are here on time or if they're tardy. Thank you also for making a name tent. I think I already know everybody. I'm not looking at your name tents. That's Sarah, Fatima, and then Molly, and Henry, and Rosa, and Colleen, and Josh, and Fernando, and Juan. And JR, if you would come one more row forward. All right. Okay, and I think all of you probably know my name too. What's my name? Mr. G. All right, perfect. Okay, so we all know each other. So thank you for your name tent. Please keep your name tent for the next couple days anyway, just so I really memorize all your names. Finally, thanks for filling in your student information sheet. Maybe you're still filling that out. That's just fine. Finish filling it out tonight and bring it back with you on Thursday. So bring it back on Thursday. One of my favorite activities on the first week of school is to gather up 100 of these student information sheets and sit down with a tall glass of iced tea and read through all of them. But no, really, it's very valuable for me to hear about you and where you come from and what I can do to better help you. Okay, in general, we'll start class by doing a warm-up problem on the board. So whenever you come in right at 11, I'll have warm-up questions on the board, and you can turn to your neighbor and discuss them with your neighbor. Preferably, you're all talking to each other during that time. It's not supposed to be a silent warm-up. That was just today, because we were waiting for everybody to get here. Typically, it'll be a talk to your neighbor warm-up, and then we'll clarify the questions. All right, so today's excitement. Oh, by the way, folks, I am so excited for you. I cannot contain myself. We're studying calculus. Isn't that exciting? Are you all excited? We're all here to learn business. Yeah, exactly. We're all here to learn business calculus. Calculus is a really interesting, fascinating subject. I think you're all going to really like it. Who's already done calculus? You maybe studied a little bit before, maybe in high school or previous. Okay, well, great. It's okay if you've never taken it before. We're going to cover it from the ground up. Josh.
You consider this is business calculus?
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and?
Great question. We're still going to cover calculus in all the normal ways. So we'll build up calculus from the ground up, learning about limits, derivatives, and integrals. The only difference that makes this a business calculus class is that all of our application questions will be focused on business applications. So we'll be talking about profit, revenue, cost, and generally speaking, questions about running a business. Not to say we won't have some just normal math questions. We'll also just have normal, run-of-the-mill math questions that you're used to from your entire life. Okay, so today, thank you, Josh, for your question. I'd like to introduce you to myself. I want to hear from all of you. I'd like to share some information about the syllabus, talk about our course goals, and then we will begin kind of an introduction to the first chapter to get an overview of calculus. I like to give a bird's eye view of what calculus is all about on the first day. All right. So, first of all, I am very excited and honored to facilitate your study of calculus. I love calculus. This is very fun. I've always been a math geek enthusiast ever since I was born. I studied math in college as well as communication. I earned a master's in education so I could teach high school for 8 years, and now I've been teaching here for 2 years. I believe all of you can master the math in this course, especially if you ask questions. So I'm really hopeful that you'll ask questions whenever you feel like it, during class, after class, email me, come to my office hours. I expect you to contact me once a day, once every other couple of days. Because really, I sit in my office and I just sit there and I wait.
Yes.
Someone going to contact me. And even at home, I'm checking my email, multiple times a night just to see if anyone emailed me because I can reply. Okay, so also I'm a very communicative teacher. I make Canvas announcements. I send emails. I keep the grade book up to date. A best practice, I hope you're all checking your gateway email every day. Do you all check your gateway email every day or check Canvas every day? I hope you do. You know, you can set a preference to forward your gateway email to your normal email. That way you make sure you get it every day. I do have office hours upstairs throughout the week. Let's see, in this class, my office hours is right after class. So as soon as class is over, we can just go up to my office, and that's when my office hours are. I also get to class a little early. I was here maybe 20 minutes before class. So you can talk to me before class, or we can go up to my office right after class. And I'm always available via email. You can just shoot me an email at my regular gateway address. Okay, so student introductions. This is your favorite part. Each and every one of you, since it's such a small group, you will stand up, share your name, sing your favorite childhood song. I'm just kidding, you don't have to do that. But wouldn't that be fun? You don't even have to stand up. Just share your name, your preferred name. What am I supposed to call you, and help me with the pronunciation? And then tell us what you're studying at Gateway, right? Like, what's your career and educational goal? What are you heading towards? So how about we start in the front? Oh, you don't have to stand. You can sit down. Okay, she wants to. Great.
Hey guys, my name is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
My primary study here. Well, I just took a general education studies here, but I'm hoping to transfer it to business administration.
Very wonderful. And Sarah, that makes sense. Probably all of you are here in some sort of a business program since you're in business calculus. That makes sense. Thank you, Sarah. Yes.
My name is Fatima.
Fatima. Is it Fatima? Did I say that right?
Yeah, I'm England.
Well, I want to hear you say it one more time. Fatima. Fatima. Okay, so please correct me if I say
No,
that.
no, it's like I was visiting things. Maybe you can say.
We'll say it your way one more time. Fatima?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can say that. But when I'm writing
Okay. Well, perfect. I really tried to say everyone's names correctly. Okay, and what are you studying? Oh, accounting. Okay, wonderful. All right, Fatima. And?
Molly,
Hi, Molly.
and I'm studying that.
Pre-vet. Oh, wow. So you're going to apply these business skills towards running your own veterinary clinic?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So working with animals. Any
Yeah.
particular animals?
I've been working with horses, dogs,
Oh,
cats,
okay.
the whole thing.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, thank you, Molly.
I'm Henry.
Hi, Henry.
I'm going to business
Okay, wonderful. And business communication specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Henry.
My name is Rosa,
Hi, Rosa.
and I'm studying for business.
Business administration. Okay. Are those similar, business communication, business administration? Are they technically different? You mean your district manager of your work, which is?
I work at team. Selling.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you, Henry. Thank you, Rosa.
My name is Colleen, and
Hi, Colleen.
I'm a business major, and my goal is to get by next semester.
Okay. Wonderful. Welcome, Colleen.
My name is Joshua.
Hi, Joshua. Wait, do you want Joshua or Josh? Well, which do you like? No, you have to have a preference.
It's whatever.
Okay, well, when you introduced yourself to me over there, you said Josh, but now you're saying Joshua. Should I say Josh? Okay, all right. I'll
We'll go
switch
Josh.
back and forth. I'm going to switch back and forth then. All right.
I work towards an associate's in science.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you, Joshua.
My name is Fernando.
Hey, Fernando.
Go by Nando.
Oh, Nando.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fun. Okay, Nando.
I'm
Okay, accounting. Okay, and Fatima, that's what you're doing too, right? Accounting? Okay, great. Welcome, Nando.
My name is JR. Excuse me. My name is JR.
Hey, JR.
And I am working toward a transferable degree over to AC for information technology.
Oh, information technology. Okay, wonderful. Welcome, JR.
My name is Juan.
Hi, Juan.
I'm studying towards business.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, everybody, you just heard from everybody. This is wonderful. Now, I totally understand. I just want to say this right up front. I totally understand we're all here for various business reasons, business, accounting, administration, etc. And so in the back of your mind somewhere, you might be wondering, why calculus, right? Because we're going to get into some real nitty-gritties of calculus and how calculus works, the derivatives and integrals. And on the one hand, what I can tell you is that First of all, you can use derivatives and integrals to find answers within the business. So that's good. But also, I just want to say, I'll say it again later, from a big metacognitive level, this is simply a challenging course. And that's a metaphor for anything challenging that you're going to come across when you run your business. So whether in your business, you confront some challenge, and at first it's like, oh, this is really hard, but then you have to push through it, and then you figure it out, and then you successfully implement it. That's just what this is, right? So if at any point in this class you're like, oh man, calculus, when am I going to use this? Think of it more like a metaphor. This is a challenge, just like any challenge you're going to confront in your business, and the key is to help yourself get through that to the point where you understand it. So the challenge of a calculus course is a metaphor for the challenge of anything that you're confronting in your business class, let alone the fact that you might actually use some of these tools later on. Okay, so now that you all know each other, I'd like you to take 3 minutes and form spontaneous groups of, let's say, 3 people, because that's 3, that's 3, that's 4. That'll work. I mean, groups of 3 or 4, you can either turn to the people next to you or turn to the people behind you, but form groups of 3 or 4 people. And what I'd like you to do is share with each other, each person share 2 things. 1, what makes a math class easier, and 2, what makes a math class harder. And then when we're all done, I'm going to choose one, well, you choose 1 representative from your group to share 1 idea each. So go ahead and get in groups of 3 or 4. Everybody share 1 idea each about harder and easier, and then choose a representative who's going to share that with the group. Okay, go.
So it's like if you look at Street Fighter, it's like down, so I think like
And you all know each other's names? All right, who's this? Sarah, that's right.
Sort of and more fun to
All right, folks, I think the volume level dipped, so I think you're all mostly done with chatting. So let's go around and share some of these ideas. I'm going to write them down on the board just so we can all look at them. So how about we'll start with this group right up front. What's one thing that you said that makes a math class easier? Well, yeah, that's very helpful. It's really important to be able to ask questions. And folks, in this class, you can ask questions during class, you can email me after class, and more importantly, we'll be using an online math website where you do your practice homework. And in there, you can email me a message, or you can even post a question to a public forum where any one of you can see the question and then respond and help each other out. So you have many, many opportunities to ask your questions. I also expect you to come into office hours at least once and continue if you want to. So you can always come see me. Okay, so yeah, asking questions is very helpful. Sarah, what about what makes math class harder? What? Oh, well, yeah, that makes it very hard. So, no, not doing homework, or even worse, just falling behind in general. Right? Yeah, that's very tricky, not doing homework or falling behind. Now, the homework, the online homework, is a required component of the class, And it's worth, I think, 25% of your grade. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to be doing the online homework. It's just like taking piano lessons. Did any of you ever take piano lessons or violin lessons or guitar lessons? I did. I was taking piano lessons once, and I would go to the lesson, say on Monday, and then a week would go by and I'd go back, and I wouldn't practice at all when I was at home. And I'd go back to the lesson, and my piano teacher would just look right at me and she would say, "You didn't practice at all." Like, she would know I didn't practice at all because I hadn't improved at all. So it's the same with piano lessons or guitar lessons or math class. You have to be practicing outside of class because otherwise it's pretty obvious that you're not getting any practice with the skills. Okay, so yeah, very good. Got to do your homework and you got to not fall behind. How about this group over here? What's one thing that made it easier?
Taking notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Take detailed notes so you can remember, what all happened on a particular day. A lot of times people ask, do I have to show my work? One of the biggest reasons to show your work is so that weeks later you go back and look at a problem that you solved correctly and you're like, how on earth did I solve it? I have no idea now what I did to solve that problem. Whereas if you showed your work, which is taking notes, then you'd remember how you solve it and it's so much easier to review, like say for a final exam. Okay, great, Roseanne. What's one thing that makes math class harder? Procrastinating, which kind of goes along with falling behind, right? Procrastinating. In this class, I think that we've chunked it up pretty well into little bite-sized pieces where every day we'll cover one section from the textbook, and then the homework is always due the following Monday. So it's just little bite-sized pieces, and so long as you keep on top of that one bite-sized piece that we're doing this week, then you shouldn't fall behind. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Rosa, and thank you. Was it Sarah? Okay, now how about this group back here?
For easier,
yes, Jared.
One of them was doing more interactive work on the board. Or something that be more interactive.
Okay. So interactive, as in you would like to come up on the board and do some solutions? Would you like to come up right now? Oh, no, not right now. Okay, but sometime during class you would feel like that'd be helpful. Okay, all right, we can work on that. Interactive, so on the board maybe. All right. And then what about something that makes it harder?
Was fill in the blank notes.
Okay, I heard you say that, and I'm glad you did because say more about it.
More so, I think it's more better when in math class, like my last semester, my instructor gave us packets for notes. It was more of following along, and I actually put the packet aside and started writing the notes myself because it jogged my memory more, and I felt like it stuck in my brain more than it was just on.
Okay, well, good. Well, Jared, I'm glad that you bring that up because as we go through this class, I do have notes packets that I'm going to hand out so that it's already photocopied for you. And what I put on the board is what you'll see on your page. Now, it's mostly like I give a problem and then there's a bunch of blank space. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. As far as
it was full-on notes, equations, the graphs, and everything like that.
And then you just fill in a little bit?
Really, it was almost like vocabulary.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, let me know how it goes, as we begin the class, because you've taken one of my classes before.
And I enjoyed it.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Seriously, I only chose, I was like, I'm never going to do a morning class again, but I saw that you were teaching this.
Okay, and it's not even a morning class, it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, well, still, Jared, thank you for the feedback, and let me know how it goes, because if for whatever reason writing on the packet itself isn't working for you, maybe you need to work on line paper. Some people much prefer line paper than the packet, then just let me know. The reason I do it is so that what you see on the board is what you see on your paper, and we don't have to take any time writing down the full problem. It's already there for you. But still, thank you for that feedback, and please let me know how it's working. Same goes for all of you. As we start class, we get a week or two into it. If there's something that's working for you, great. And if there's something that's not working for you, then come talk to me so that we can look for a solution. For instance, in my class yesterday, I have a student who he prefers to do all of his notes on his tablet. And so I just sent him an electronic copy of the notes. And now he's literally writing on the notes on his tablet as opposed to a piece of paper. It's still the identical piece of paper, and he's still writing with an implement. It's just on his computer instead of paper. Because some people prefer pencils, some people prefer pens, and some people prefer a stylus. So I realize there's a lot of different ways that things can be done. Okay, well, those are definitely some wonderful ideas. I'd just like to share with you the top feedback I get at the end of every semester, because at the end of every semester I give an online course evaluation with the question, if I could time travel back to the beginning of the course, what would I do differently? So one is to ask more questions. That's always the big one, is ask more questions. Because I'm always happy to stop. Like even if I'm right in the middle of a sentence, you can just raise your hand and I'll stop. Right? So let's definitely work on that. But you can ask questions anytime you like. Two is go to more office hours. Because I sit up there in my office just waiting for people to come in. So by all means, come on up and see me. Three is not using your phone in class. I don't see any of you using your phone in class right now, so that's wonderful. But every once in a while, people get a little distracted and they start working on other things and then they miss it. And then the biggest one is actually reading the textbook and watching the videos. Because the online, well, your textbook is free, first of all. It's a free textbook that's available at the website where we do our practice work. And it's so important that you're reading the textbook before you come to class. Even if you just skim it, right? That's so important. Before you actually come to lecture on new material, you should at least bust open your book and just skim through the pages so that your brain is seeing it for the first time, so that when you see it with me, it's the second time, and you're feeling a little more comfortable with it. So it's really important that you're reading the textbook and watching the videos. I'll talk more about that in a second. Okay, well, folks, here's your first bonus opportunity. You do have to do this, but I give you extra credit. Isn't that nice? So I want you to email me at my regular gateway email address. I posted this online. You don't have to write all this down. It's on Canvas. So just email me, subject line mat213, put your full name in the body, write what makes math easier for you, what makes it harder for you, and then tell me one of your favorite jokes. The joke is, I prefer short jokes, you know, like one-liners, little zingers, but it definitely has to be clean. Because every once in a while, someone sends me an inappropriate joke, and I'm like, oh, this is very awkward, I can't see this. Right, so give me like a joke that you could tell a fifth grader, or you know, an elementary school kid, that's preferred. Okay, so if you send me that email, go ahead and send it this week. I'll give you 10 bonus points, which is the value of one whole homework assignment. So you have no reason not to do it, plus I'm requiring you to do it. So there you go, a required extra credit assignment. All right, before we keep going, does anyone have any questions right now? Anything at all? Running around in your brain, okay?
Textbook, you can print it out on.
Well, you can print it out if you like. That's a really interesting question. If you really wanted to print it, you could. It's a couple hundred pages long. So that would be a little too time consuming to do that at, say, the Learning Center or the library. I would not recommend it. So like for instance here, let's go to Gateway Canvas just so you see where it is, because it's actually in multiple places. But everybody, you're gonna at some point today go home, log on to Canvas. So I'm gonna do that real quick so that we can see our course. Your course is mat213, so here it is. Apparently it's pink. So right here, this is my introductory page. It says, welcome to Brief Calculus, and here's your syllabus, and then here's your textbook. So right there is the link for the textbook. You just click it. It's a PDF, and you can keep it on your phone. You can keep it on your laptop, your computer, whatever you want to do, on your tablet. So that's your textbook, and that's where you can read it. If you really wanted to print it out, as I said, you could, but you're not required to. But hey, some people do prefer to have a piece of paper to read instead of, you know, just electronic.
It's like going through a modern part of the computer, it's like, and then going back to it.
Yeah. So by all means, if you want to print it out, you can. Like I said, I would probably, what I would probably recommend is print out little bits at a time instead of like the whole darn thing. Because first of all, we're not doing the whole darn textbook, so you wouldn't want to print out the whole thing. And instead, I'm kind of showing you things here a little out of order, but here's the website that we'll be using. It's called More. So normally the word more means I'd like more ice cream. But in this case, More means the website where we do our online practice and communicate with each other. So MOER stands for Maricopa Open Educational Resources. That means it's free. So I'm going to log in here real quick. And I'll just show you that you can download the textbook one chunk at a time. Oh, I have that wrong. Okay. So here we have it. Our class is mat213. You see over here in the upper left-hand corner, mat213. So that's our class. Right off the bat, if you look at the very top, that's the textbook. But that's the whole textbook. If you go down, there's graph and calculator resources, and then the discussion forum. That's where we can post questions to each other about the various chapters that we're doing. So Module 2 and Module 3, this is all we're doing. Module 2 is about derivative calculus. Module 3 is about integral calculus. That's our whole class, okay? So we'll spend the first couple months doing Module 2 derivatives. We'll spend the last couple months doing Module 3 integrals. If you click on Module 2 derivative, you have a variety of chapters. So we'll do Chapter 2.1 first. When you click on Chapter 2.1, it gives you the textbook for just Section 2.1. So that's just a small bite-sized thing. If you wanted to print that out, I think you could be very successful. If you could just print that out, it's probably just like 10, 20 pages. and then you could write on it if you want to. Yeah, and plus nobody at the library or the Learning Center would be upset with you for printing such a short document. If you went and tried to print a 300-page document, I think it would cause a traffic jam and people might throw things at you. Yeah. Okay, well, wonderful. So there we go. Rosa, thank you for your question about the textbook. Anybody else have a question before I keep going? Thank you, Rosa. That was very helpful. Okay, so here's your syllabus. Everyone take your syllabus out, set it in front of you so we're all looking at the same thing. So this is mat213. I think it's called business calculus, actually. Or maybe it is business calculus. In any case, it's business calculus. And you've got all my information up there. So when we meet in this room, and then my office hours are Monday, Wednesday, 10:30 to 2:15, and Tuesday, Thursday from 1 to 1:45. So that means right after this class is over, you can come on to my office. First things first is notice that one course material you need is a graphing calculator. You absolutely need a graphing calculator. There's no way around it. We do so much graphing. In fact, I'd be willing to say that every single problem, we graph something. So your graphing calculator could be any graphing calculator. I happen to carry around a TI-83 with me in my pocket, but to tell you the truth, I've been using a TI-82 my entire life. Like for decades, I've been using a TI-82, and it's all I've ever needed. I recommend the TI-82 because while this thing is like $80 or $100, a TI-82 is only like $20 from Amazon. So if you do not already have a graphing calculator, I highly recommend you go to Amazon today, get a used TI-82 for around $20, and that'll last you for the rest of your life. You can give it to your kids, right? Because I've been using mine for decades. Okay, so you definitely need a graphing calculator. See me if you need help in locating a graphing calculator or asking about which kind to use. TI-84 is fine. If you have a fancier one, that's fine. If you have a TI-89, a TI Inspire, anything fancier is totally fine. But a TI-82 is the minimum that you need. Like a TI-81, I don't think those are very good at all. Like those are really old. Those are like practically from the 80s. The TI-82 is at least from the 90s, and they have good technology. Okay, so get a graphing calculator. You'll also need online access to the More website. Again, More ice cream, More, our website. The syllabus gives you the information there, the course ID and the enrollment key to log on and make yourself an account. Now, I really can't stress enough how important it is to read the textbook and watch the videos. So let me show you again. When you go into the More website, watch how great this is. When you go into the More website, here we were, and I'm looking again at Module 2, and I'm looking at 2.1. So right here at 2.1, it says, okay, here's the chapter, 2.1. Right below it is the textbook, and then right below that is the video assignment. This is what you should do before you come to class. Before you come to class, you go in here, there's a few videos, they're like 5 to 10 minutes each, so probably half an hour. You click play, and you can either watch the entire thing, maybe while you're folding laundry or cooking, whatever you want, or if it's really easy and you already feel like you know it, you can even just kind of scan through and scroll through and be like, okay, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with this. Either way, you want to watch these videos before you come to class and then click that button there to say that you watched it, because that's how you get your points. This is a great assignment. So you click mark that you did, and then you go to the next video, and then you watch that video, and then you click, yes, I've completed this section. Then you go to the next question, and you just watch through all the videos. Okay, so first and foremost, that's really important, because do that before you come to class, because that way you're already familiar a little bit. You already feel like, okay, I see what we're talking about. I don't get it completely. But then when I start talking, you're already feeling a little bit more on board. So really important to watch those videos first. And then also as important is look through the textbook. So I'll go ahead and click on textbook section 2.1. Here it is. It's just textbook section 2.1. And look, it's only 5 pages. And in fact, it's not even all 5 pages. There's 1, 2, 3 pages. And then there's exercises, which you don't even have to do. So how long is this textbook section? 3 pages, right? So I'm talking about watching a couple videos and reading a couple pages of the textbook before you come to class. And again, you might not understand every little detail, but at least you're familiarizing yourself. And then when you get to class, it'll go so much easier for you. Just to share, I am also in a math class. I'm earning my master's in mathematics right now at an online school in Kansas. It's called Emporia. And so this online course, all the lectures are up on video. So I always watch the videos. Well, I'm just telling you from my perspective, I would never watch the video lecture unless I've already read the textbook first. Because for me, that's just death. Like if I just go to watch the lecture and I haven't read the textbook at all, I don't understand anything the teacher's talking about. What I need to do is first scan through the textbook, and I'll tell you what I do. I take my textbook and I just kind of scan through it, kind of generally saying, okay, well, this is what it's about. I don't get it yet, but I see what they're talking about. And then I go back to the beginning and I read the whole chapter, taking notes line by line, writing down the example problems, writing down the definitions. Then I go to lecture. Right? So there's a lot of front work that I do. And I really passionately believe that that's the right way to do a math class, is to do that front work. I don't know if I've convinced you or not. I don't know if you're like, Mr. Yost, class. Please don't do that. Try it out, okay? It's so much easier if you at least browse the videos, browse the textbook, and then come to class. It's so helpful. Okay, so all those resources are online for you. What else here? This is how you get your grade. We will have notes packets in class. That's how we'll take all the notes together. I will give you a practice test before every real test. I think that's very helpful. Honestly, it's a gift to you. But I'm giving you a practice test that looks like the real test before every test. So if you do the practice test, which you have to because it's assignment, you'll already kind of know what the test looks like and you'll feel more comfortable with it. So you get a practice test, you do the video assignments, you do the online homework, and then you'll have the actual test and then the finals. So that's how you earn your grade. I won't read through all of this with you. It's just more details. You should read that when you do your syllabus quiz so you have a better understanding of how the notes packets, the online videos, the online homework, practice tests, and test and finals can work. So you read that on your own. What else? Keeping track of your grade. I just want you all to know that I will only round up if you've turned in all of your assignments and all of your extra credit opportunities. So have you ever ended up in a class with an 89.5 or a 79.5? And you're like, oh man, I hope my teacher rounds up. Did they round up? Yeah, every time? Yeah, it all depends. Some teachers round up, some teachers don't round up. I only round up if you've turned in every assignment and you've done every extra credit opportunity. Then I feel like, okay, well, they hustled. They did everything they could. I'll round them up. But if you have like zeros in the grade books and you didn't do the extra credit, then I won't round them up. Even if you have an 89.999999, right? So just keep that in mind. You have to turn in everything in order to get that rounding potential. Okay, I just have a couple of serious policies to talk about. One is tardiness and attendance. I won't read all that to you because it's a long paragraph. I'm just going to tell you, okay? So when you came in, you signed in on the on time or on the tardy side. Okay, now here's how it works. You get 2 tardies for free. So you can be tardy to class twice for free, and that's fine. But every tardy you have after that, I take 5 points off the final exam. Okay, so it's motivating you to be here on time. Likewise for attendance, you get 2 absences for free. You know, because things happen. Maybe your car breaks down, or you have to go pick up your kids. I don't know. So you get 2 absences for free. But every absence after that, I take 5 points off the final exam. So the main idea here is I want you here on time and I want you here, right? So that's how that works. If you have perfect attendance, no absences at all, I give you 5 bonus points on your final exam. And if you have no tardies, I give you 5 bonus points on your final exam. So that's just that's the attendance policy for the course. What else? Required office hours. I don't know if you've ever had a teacher who requires office hours, but I do require office hours. And let me just tell that to you. So first, before the day of the first exam, which is I think in February, so you have a while, you must come visit my office for a 5-minute chat. You have to. It's required. We will review the notes you're taking in class as well as your online homework, and this requirement will count as 50% of your first exam grade. So for instance, if you do not come in, I will take 50% off whatever grade you earned on the test. So like if you got a 90% on your first test, but you never came to my office hours, boom, I'll slash it to a 45%. Now, have I ever done that in my life? No, because every student always comes into my office hours just once. Okay? It's just 5 minutes. Okay? You just come up there after we're done with class. Okay, second, after each test, if you score below 70, and 70 is the cutoff because that's what you need to get in the class in order to pass and earn credit. Right? If you finish the class with less than a 70, you don't get credit for the course and you have to take it over again. So if you score below a 70, I will record your grade in the gradebook as a 0 to catch your attention. And then you must come into my office to review your entire test with me. We'll sit down and go through the test, question by question by question, such that when you're all done, you'll say, oh, that's how those questions work. And then if I did give you the test again, how would you do? Better, and you'd pass, right? I'm not going to give you the test again. I'm just saying if I did, you would do really well. So that's the goal of the review session. That should take about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And then once you've reviewed the whole test with me, I'll put the grade into it. Okay? So that means all of you have to come to my office once, sometime in the next couple of weeks, but only if you score below a 70 on the test, then you also have to come to my office. Now you can feel free to come to my office anytime you like. You can come every day, that's fine too. I'm just saying these are the minimum. This is the minimum number of times you have to come in. Any questions about that? Is everyone available right after class so you can just run up there for 5 minutes and then leave? You don't have to do it today. I'm just saying sometime in the next couple of weeks, right after class, just come to my office, we'll just chat real quick. Okay, why do I have this policy? Why do I want all of you to come to my office once, and why do I want you to come to my office if you score less than 70? Henry? Oh, it's just upstairs. Yeah, it's the math and science department is right upstairs, and my office number is on the cell list. Yeah, plus if you come with me after class, we'll just all walk there together. Okay, good question. Anyone else? Oh yeah, so why do I have this policy about requiring office hours? Yeah, so I know where you're at, so I can check in with you, sure. Why else? Why do I have these office hours policies? I absolutely do want you to succeed, Joshua. That's totally right. Why else do I have these policies? I don't want to tell you guys. Has a teacher ever forced you to come into office hours before? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Right up front. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is I want to open up the line of communication. Because if I can get you to come to my office once, you'll be more likely to do it again. Because a lot of students are like, oh no, I'm not. Whereas if you already go, then the Band-Aid is torn off, and you're like, oh yeah, I've been to this office before, I go again. Right? So that's one thing. But the other reason, and this is the big reason, I care about each and every one of you. I want you to succeed, and I want you to pass the class. So by having a good open communication between us, that's more likely to happen. Okay? Okay, now required online communication. This is also another requirement. Before the second week of school, so do it sometime this week. Do it this week. You must complete the following types of online communication. One, send me that email, that extra credit email I already mentioned, where you're going to say what makes math easier, what makes math harder, and your favorite job. So you got to send that this week. Two, you need to go into the Moore system, choose a problem from the first homework assignment, and click Message Instructor. Let me just show you. I want you to be aware of the tools that are available to you. So here we are, back in Moore. Here we are. We're in section Assignment 2.1. So this is the actual assignment for the first section. So you see, you only have 8 questions for homework right there. And for any given question, take a look. First of all, there's a video button, which means there's a video that will pop up to literally show you how to solve a problem. Okay, so that's very helpful. Like you've already read the textbook, you've already been in class with me, and if you still need help, there's a video here that's going to show you how to do it. But then also, down below the question, you'll notice 2 blue links. The first one says Message Instructor about this question. So if you get to this question and you're not sure how to do it, you click that link, and it's going to send me an email with the question in it. That's so helpful. I'll actually literally know what question you're at. And then you can say, hey, Mr. G, I said the answer was 6, but it says I'm wrong. Right? So tell me what you tried. Don't just write, say, help. That's not enough. I need to know what you tried, and then I can just email you right back and help you. Okay, so that's one thing. I need you to do that this week. Just go in to the first homework assignment and just choose any problem, it doesn't matter which, and click Message Instructor, and you can just say hello. Right? Joshua.
All this is on all of what we are supposed to do in Canvas.
On Canvas, I have posted all of your requirements for this week. So if you go to Canvas, in fact, I don't I still have it up here. Yeah, if you go to Canvas, I have an announcement right here. And it says right here, take away from day 1. And it tells you what all you have to do. So yeah, this is a recap of the homework assignment that I'm telling you about. So 1 is Message Instructor. 2, it says post this question to the forum. So again, this week, go on here, choose any problem you like, post it to the forum. And then this is going to post it. This question has already been posted. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to do another one. There we go. So again, it shows the question to the group, and then you can go ahead and say, whatever your question is, like, hey everyone, I got 37, but it says I'm wrong. Any tips? And then you can post it to the whole group. I would prefer you always post it to the whole group, because that way when I take the time to write you a long message telling you how to do the problem, everybody else can read it too. So it's probably best just to always post it to the forum. But in this particular case, I'd like you all to do each. I just want you to see both of those buttons are there and click on it. Okay? So that's your required online communication for this week, is to send me the extra credit email with the joke, and then go into the more and do Message Instructor and then post question form. Yes, Evan?
Is it likely that they'll post that question?
No.
Uh,
I think that was just totally weird. I don't even know why that happened. Yeah. Okay, where are we at? So there we go. We're almost done with all this syllabus business. You all have a syllabus quiz? Please take a look. Your syllabus quiz, that's for me to know, I know everything that's important in the syllabus. So you'll notice I even gave you the pages. So these questions, the answers are on page 1. These questions, the answers are on page 2 to 3. These questions, the answers are on page 3. And these questions, the answers are on page 3 as well. That seems to be the same song. Well, that's the wrong song, but it's 11:50, which means this is normally when we'll take our break. Let me just reach a good spot for us to take our break, because we do get a 10-minute break. But let me just wrap up real quick. So that's your syllabus quiz. Fill this out and bring it back to you on Wednesday. Now again, I know I'm giving you a lot to do already. It's the first day. You need to bring back your student information sheet, your syllabus quiz on Wednesday, and then do all that online stuff by the end of this week. Okay. Finally, here's our calendar. You'll notice that we've got all the dates here. You know exactly what we're studying every single day. We basically always do one section from the textbook every single day. You've got your no school days in there. Oh, that's not right. That's not right at all. Is that what you have on your syllabus right in front of you? I think I just have the wrong photocopy. No, I gave you the wrong. What was it? That's not right at all. There is no Martin Luther King Jr. Day on January 22nd. Okay, I need to give you all a new calendar. This calendar seems to be wrong because Martin Luther King Jr. Day is not on a Tuesday. So I will fix that and bring you the calendar on the next. I'll email it tonight. In any case, yeah, it must have been. Okay, so I'll fix that, folks. I'll give you all new calendars. The key thing to notice is that the due dates on the right-hand column, those are the due dates online. Those are your online more due dates for the more software. Whereas everything else is just telling you what we're studying on any given day. And then the test day, whenever we take a test, that's when all your paper assignments are due, your notes packets and your practice test. So anything that's made of a piece of paper, it's due on the day of the test. But all the homework you do online through more, the videos and the homework, those due dates are posted. Gotcha. So, yeah, well, the notes packets that I give you, I'm going to hand you a notes packet. Yeah. Okay, so there's our calendar. This is just an overview of the course material. Just so you know, Chapter 2 is all about derivatives. Chapter 3 is all about integrals. Yeah, if you need help at any point, see me before or after class, come to my office hours. The Learning Center is on this for you. Go down there, free tutors. Email me directly. Watch class again because I'm recording class right now on my laptop, so you can watch all this later. And of course, read the textbook and watch the videos. They are the sine qua non of learning. Your textbook and the videos, does anyone know the Latin phrase sine qua non? Sine qua non. It means without which nothing. Anyway, that's just the phrase. It means it's essential. It's essential that you do those things. Okay, I'm going to hold this for after break. So everybody, let's take a quick break. The time is, let me just see here. The time is 11:52. So let's all be back in the room at 12:02. 12:02. Now, the only rule for breaks is that you have to get up and leave. Please come back. But you have to at least stand up and leave the room, even if you turn around and come right back in. I want everybody to stand up and get the blood moving back through your body, get the blood back up into your head. So leave and just be back by 12:02 or sooner. Henry, you may return.
So like the last couple times I've done that, it's always been like a young guy.
It's what's always been like a young guy.
The teacher, sorry.
Oh, are you calling me an old man or a young guy?
Young guy.
Oh, goody, gumdrops. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, well, you mean what, at Gateway?
I was at like U of A in
Mhm.
2013, then I went to ITT Tech. That's
Cool.
also.
Mm.
I wonder if that's a trend.
I have no idea. You know, when I was at U of A, I would say most of all my teachers were older.
Yeah.
You know, and even here at Gateway, I mean, I'd say most of the adjuncts are probably older. And, you know, there's only 5 of us math teachers who are full-time here. The rest are adjuncts. Yeah, I think me and one other guy were younger, I suppose you could say. Anyway, I don't know. It really all depends. Because the math classes I'm taking right now at Emporia,
Yeah.
all of those, no, it's actually an equal mix. I've had some older teachers and then I've had some younger ones.
I guess like you'd expect like the core classes to be.
Well, you know, I wonder if just maybe it has nothing to do with the fact of whether or not there really are more younger or older teachers, but the fact that you are now older. That now, you know, before you were like a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old, so everybody was older.
Right.
Whereas now that you're a little older, you're starting to see more of an equal mix. And maybe that mix has always been the same your whole life long. It's just now that you're older, you're seeing older and younger people.
It's hard to differentiate that.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to suss that out. Who knows? I wonder if the demographic has changed or if it's been the same ever since.
Yeah, that's just what I thought.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
And this is fun.
I like it. I typically have on average about two to three people watch the video per class period. So I figure that's worth it.
Well, you can use it too, right? I guess math is
Well, that's true. Like someday I could just post all those videos.
or like if you want to see how you did something.
Oh, well, that's true. It is very helpful to watch myself because then I can see if I'm using catchwords
Watch
over and
yourself.
over again. What's that?
You like to watch yourself?
Well, no, but I mean, every once in a while it's a good thing to check in because, like, for instance, I think I'm much better at it now, but I used to say the word guys all the time. Like, all right, guys, all right, guys, all right, guys. And then it gets old. You know, like, you know, you've probably had teachers who say, a lot, or just certain catchwords. So if you watch yourself every once in a while, you can be like, oh my gosh, I say that catchword all the time. And then you can work on stopping it. Yeah. All right. All right, folks, it's 12:02. Let's keep going. I just have a few more remarks to make regarding the class, and then we'll get started with some mathy material. So first, we have 3 course goals as I see them. The first course goal is the mathematical content course, right? We're going to learn calculus. We're going to learn derivatives and integrals and how to apply it to business questions. But what I want you to know is that learning mathematics is a metaphor for the overall challenge of learning anything difficult, right? It's just a metaphor. So you're going to come up against many challenging things in your life, and the question is, how do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? Do you reach out for help? Do you go to your teacher? Do you go to a classmate? Or do you, I don't know, shut down and go have a snack and take a nap, right? We want to learn methods of how to cope with challenging situations, and that's something we can talk about here. 2, we're also learning computer skills and an attitude of mastery. So you've never logged into this More website before in your life. And the first couple times you log in, you're going to feel like, oh, this is a little confusing. Oh, how do I find things in this website? But the more you do it, then you'll eventually say, okay, yeah, I know my way around, and this website's really easy. I get it. And there again, you'll need to learn so many computer systems in your work, in your life, and going into it, it'd be helpful if you go into it knowing that you can figure it out. Right? Because sometimes we go into a new system and we're like, oh, this new system, this is so annoying. But the fact is, you're going to have so many computer systems you're going to have to learn in your lifetime. It'd be good to just go into it with an attitude like, okay, it's a little confusing right now, but I'll figure it out and I know it. And then finally, introspection and self-discovery about struggle, right? Because math is typically thought of as a hard subject. Sometimes it can be, it doesn't have to be, but we want to watch that process. Like even me, I'm in a math class right now, and I was doing my homework last night, and I got to a problem I didn't know how to do. I stared at it for a good 10 minutes, and then I thought, I'm going to let my brain think about this for a while and just go to bed. And already, since last night, not necessarily I didn't have a dream about it, but since last night I've continued thinking in the background, and I think I've almost figured it out, right? And so it's just this process of knowing how you deal with struggle and what to do. So know thyself. What does it feel like to struggle? What does it feel like to feel frustration and overwhelmed, to want to quit? Can you catch yourself cutting corners or avoiding things? And what helped you make a breakthrough, right? Because we want to figure out, how do I move forward swiftly and efficiently with learning new hard things? Okay, so that's kind of philosophical, I realize. Next, I have something called the invisible syllabus. So you have your actual syllabus, where those are all the actual course competencies you're learning, but this is my invisible syllabus. 1, you will be able to show your work for all problems. We've all heard that before, show your work, show your work. Do I have to show my work? Yes, you have to show your work. The question we'll ask is, who are you showing your work for? Right, so who'd like to answer that question? Who are you showing your work for? Who do you show your work for? What? Yeah, yourself, because that way you can go back and look at your work later and remember how you solved the problem, so that's very important. Who do you show your work for? For me, because I'm grading you and you want a good grade, so you have to show all your work. There's at least one more reason why you show your work. So what? Yeah, so anybody else can look at your work and know what you did, is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's a big one. I think there was one other. Taking good notes, you get the right answer, right? If you don't show any work, you're likely to make a mistake and get the wrong answer. So for all those reasons, we show our work. But the answer I'll always look for is your audience. Who are you showing the work for? Your audience. And your audience could be anybody. Because the fact is, you're all going into business. You're all going to be managers and leaders of businesses. You're going to have employees who work for you. And you need to be able to communicate skills to them in a way that they understand. And so mathematical communication is no different. You're showing your work so that if somebody else were to read your work, they would be able to follow along and understand what you did, right? Because if you just show some chicken work and then your employee comes along and they're trying to figure out how you did what you did, they're going to be very confused and not be able to do their job, right? So at heart of all this is mathematical communication. How do you communicate your work to an audience so your audience can learn from you? So who are you showing your work for? Your audience, your audience. Okay, also answers as supported by work do not earn points. So if you don't show your work, I won't give you any credit anymore. So, show your work, but philosophically, that's why. And then finally, the beginning of every problem, because a lot of times, have you ever had word problem coma, where you look at a word problem, and then you just kind of feel dizzy and trail off? Right? Because sometimes you get to a math problem, you're not sure what to do, and you don't know what to do. So I'm telling you, the beginning of every problem is to simply understand what the problem is asking. So to identify the question, find the question mark, right? And actually know, okay, what are they asking? And then to draw a good picture. We're going to draw a picture for every problem we do. Right? This course is very heavy on drawing graphs and drawing pictures because it helps to get to the answer. Okay, so that's the invisible syllabus. Is you're going to show your work for your audience and you're going to draw a lot of pictures. Then I have something called the invisible syllabus. And the invisible syllabus is this idea that I admire you. Folks, where are you right now? You're at school taking a math class during lunchtime. You could be eating lunch right now, but you're not. You're here taking calculus. That's brave and bold, and I admire you for that. A lot of people would rather be eating lunch, and you're here to learn math. So that's a big thing that you're doing, and I just want to really tell you how admirable that is. I encourage you. And finally, the invisible syllabus of what I want you to take away from this course is I want you to walk away from this class thinking, I can learn this, I can master this, I can teach this to somebody else. I can use these skills to solve new problems. And I can go out and learn anything that I want to in order to achieve my goal. Because it's not about the particular skill, it's about being able to acquire skills. Right? So the skills you're learning in this class, do you need to learn them so you can get your grade and pass the course? Yeah. Are you ever going to use these skills again? Maybe not. Are you going to have to learn? Are you going to have to know how to acquire skills? Yes. That's really why you're taking a class, is to learn how to learn how to acquire skills. Okay, so that's all my philosophical business. Here's what I posted on Canvas so you can see your homework. You have to, again, this is on Canvas, so you don't have to write it down, but fill out your student info sheet, your syllabus quiz, log into Canvas and browse around, log into more and do those things I asked you to do, and then send me that extra credit. So all of this is on Canvas. And you can go there and see what your homework is. Okay, we're ready to do some math. Thank you, everyone. We made it through all that first day business. Rosa?
Well, our grades are going to be focused on the more stuff?
Well,
Yeah.
the more system is going to be tracking your grade, but then every time you take a test, I transfer all those grades into Canvas. Yeah, good question. Other questions before we start doing some math? Yeah, Rosa?
I was like 2 classes, does that count?
No, today won't count against you. Yeah, so, because I think you, JR, you were still trying to figure out where your classes were. You're off.
I was another.
Yeah, today doesn't count as a day of tardy or a day of absences. But starting on Thursday, yeah, that's. Okay, so here we are, folks. That's still the wrong calendar. I'm very sorry. I'm going to fix all the calendars. Today, so this is what you'll see every time you come to class. I have the calendar to kind of review where we are. Notes, today we're introducing the fundamental ideas of calculus, and I have jokes. So every time we transition to do the mathy part of the lesson, I'm going to tell you a joke first. That way you can all have a good laugh and you're ready to learn. So here's your first joke. It's a good one. You'll tell your friends. What did the pirate say when he turned 80? I'll try that. What did the pirate say when he turned 80? Aye, matey. I'm 80. All right, well, there we go. I think it's a classic joke. Okay, folks, we'll begin with this warm-up material. Go ahead and take this out. I think I passed that out to you, right? Yes, I did. So, there we have it. This is an overview of calculus. These are the conceptual main ideas that we'll be talking about for the rest of the semester. That way we all know right up front what we're talking about and what we're studying and what the vocabulary words mean. So all the way up at the top, under mathematician, that's where you write your name. And then we say, okay, we often divide mathematics into pre-calculus and calculus. No, not every time. Sometimes. So, yeah, so we have this notion, I mean, there's even a word called pre-calculus, as though there's this magical difference between the type of math you learned before calculus and the type of math you learned after calculus. Which is kind of true. Calculus was invented in the late 1600s, early 1700s. So there was a definite big difference between all the math I did before the 1700s and then all the math I've done ever since. And even in school, like in elementary school, well, okay, junior high, high school, you like algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, pre-calculus. And then you move on and you take calculus. So we have this distinction, and we wonder, what is this distinction between pre and post? In the world of pre-calculus, we look at normal straight objects. And I'm going to clarify what that means in a second. But like, for instance, we look at straight lines. we look at rectangles, we look at squares, we look at triangles. And how are all those things drawn? With straight lines, right? It's just the basic way to start off. Whereas in the world of calculus, we think at things that are curvy. And I don't know why I put an or there. I'm just gonna stop right there. We look at things that are curvy. Curvy is hard. It doesn't have to be hard, but curvy is harder than straight. Straight, it's the same all the way along. Whereas something that's curvy, it adds some complexity there. So let's take a look here. In the world of pre-calculus, what do we do in algebra? What's one of the #1 things you did in an algebra course or college algebra in an algebra course? What was one of the most popular formulas that you used? Okay, well that's true, the quadratic formula. That is a very popular one, but that is a curvy one. So I'm going to leave that one aside for a second. Y equals mx plus b. Thank you. Very good. Y equals mx plus b. Now, of course, Joshua, quadratic, you do that a lot as well. But y equals mx plus b is kind of like this fundamental equation that we always go back to in every single class, year over two. And what is it anyway? So what does the m represent? Slope. And b represents y-intercept. So in algebra, most algebra classes in pre-calculus, you're constantly drawing graphs of a straight line. Like, we look at a straight line, we look at the y-intercept. There's the y-intercept. We look at the slope, like maybe the slope is 2/3, right? And you spend a really large amount of time studying y equals mx plus b. So that's one big thing you do in pre-calculus and algebra is you look at straight objects. And very important, the biggest concept in there is slope. Because calculating a y-intercept is pretty easy. I mean, you just look, there it is, that's the y-intercept. Whereas knowing how to calculate slope, that's the main skill that you're building the whole time you're in pre-calculus algebra courses. Okay, how about geometry? As I already kind of said, in pre-calculus, what types of objects do you study in geometry? You study, they're called rectilinear shapes. Now, rectilinear is a pretty fancy word. Recta and linear. You already see again right there that word linear. Linear means line. And recta, I believe, refers to either a rectangle or right angles. I don't know the etymology of that word, rectilinear. But the point is, it means straight shapes. So you look at a square, or you look at a rectangle, or you look at a trapezoid, or you look at a triangle, or even you look at a polygon. Although in common, they're all made up of straight shapes. And one thing that you can do in geometry, for all of these shapes, of course you can calculate the perimeter, but the bigger thing that you do is calculate area. Area is huge in geometry. You're constantly trying to calculate the area of all these shapes, and you can even calculate the area of a circle. A circle is one curvy shape that you can actually get to in pre-calculus geometry. You can actually find the area of a circle. But for the most part, you end up finding the area of all these straight line rectilinear shapes. So, all that said, what are the two big concepts that you study in pre-calculus algebra and geometry? The two big concepts are slope and area. And what are we studying in these concepts? Straight things. The slope of a straight line and the area of a straight shape. So if anybody were to ask you, what do you study in pre-calculus algebra? You'd say the slope of straight lines. And if somebody would say, what do you study in pre-calculus geometry? The area of straight shapes. So how does that change when you get to calculus then? So if pre-calculus is all about straight things, calculus is all about curvy things. So what we'll do in calculus then is now that we're in calculus, we can go beyond y equals mx plus b, and we can study any curvy function we like. It could be a quadratic, as Joshua mentioned. It could just be a parabola. It could be a cubic, a fourth power. It could be any polynomial. It could be a trig function that waves back and forth. The point is that it's curvy. And this is very interesting because if you recall, slope comes in 4 flavors. You can either have a positive slope, you can have a negative slope, you can have a 0 slope, or you can have an undefined slope. Okay? Does that ring a bell for everybody? So you have positive slopes, negative slopes, 0 slope, undefined slope. When you're looking at straight objects, the slope is always the same. It's the exact same slope at every point along the graph. Right? If I'm saying that's 2/3, the slope right here is 2/3. 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 It's a straight object, so the slope is always the same. Whereas in calculus, we study these curvy shapes, and the slope is constantly changing. Now, what we normally do, what I'll do on the board is I'll use a pen to be my slope indicator. So like right now, is the slope positive or negative? Positive, how about now? Positive, how about now? 0, how about now? Negative, how about now? How about now? 0, how about now? 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 Okay, so it's constantly changing, right? Slope is constantly changing. And that's your job as a calculus person, is to be able to tell me the slope at any point along a curve. Okay? Pre-calculus, easy. Slope is always the same. Here, now, totally challenging, because every point along the curve is going to have a different slope. And at the very least, you should be able to look at that and tell me if it's positive, negative, 0, or undefined. But we're going to be able to develop the calculus tools to actually say specifically, like right here, the slope is m equals negative 1/3. And then maybe right here, the slope is m equals positive 8/5. Right? We'll be able to actually calculate it, the slope at any point along the curve. Okay, so in calculus, we study the slope of curvy pegs. And then calculus geometry, we're able to calculate the area of curvy pegs. Now this gets really exciting because we're not just talking about the area of a circle, and we're not even talking about the area of an ellipse, because those are two very basic, simple, curvy shapes. That there are actually area formulas that we've known for thousands of years. People have known how to calculate the area of a circle and ellipse. We're talking about finding the area of a blobby blob. You can use calculus to calculate the area of a blobby blob. It could be anything. It could be any curvy shape whatsoever, and bam, you can use a formula to calculate the exact area contained inside that blobby blob. So that's the big bird's eye picture of what we're doing in calculus. Pre-calculus, you find the slope of straight lines, you find the area of straight shapes. In calculus, you find the slope of curvy things, curvy lines, well, curvy curves, and you find the area of curvy shapes. So let's summarize that. The two main branches of calculus are called derivatives and derivatives. A derivative means slope of curvy line. To be fair, it just means slope. But the point is that you can use it to find the slope of curvy lines. The other branch of calculus is called integrals. And integral means area of curvy shape. To be fair, it just means area. But the point is, the whole benefit of calculus is that you can apply a derivative to find the slope of anything, straight or curvy. And you can use the integral to find the area of anything, straight or curvy. So, derivative means slope, integral means area. Boom, that's the whole course. Let's go on. All right, so at Bedrock, as we move through the course, we're going to spend 2 months studying derivatives, which means finding slope. Day in, day out, day in, day out, we're going to talk about slope. And then the last 2 months of class, we're going to do integrals, which is finding the area underneath curves. Day in, day out, finding the area underneath curves. So if somebody were to ask you, hey, you're in the calculus course, what are you studying? You could say, slopes and areas. Right, that doesn't sound very fancy, right? They want something fancier. Like, what is calculus? It should be fancier than that. Yeah, you sound better if you're like derivatives and integrals. But really, what are you studying? Slopes and areas. Right? So it's very basic conceptually what we're doing. It just seems complex from the outside because there are so many different formulas you have to learn, and that's true. It can be tricky, but the concepts are very, very simple. Okay, turn it over. So, the three main features that you can look at, fast, and fix this. Three main features you can calculate about a function. Okay, so I gave you a function here. What is this thing called? It's a parabola. It's an upside down parabola. No big deal. I even gave you the formula for it right here. Consider the function f of x equals negative x squared plus 10x minus 16. So right here, this is a quadratic. It's a parabola. It's upside down. There it is. It's curvy. And right now, just looking at this, you could go ahead and start telling me about slope. So what's the slope right here? Positive. What's the slope right here? 0. What's the slope right here? Negative. Boom, you all just did derivatives. Right? You just told me the derivative of a curvy shape. Second of all, you could calculate area, right? We could just go ahead and try to take a guess. How much area is underneath this? How much area is captured right there? I don't know. We could start by doing a really gross approximation and say, hey, this looks like a triangle. It's a little bigger than a triangle, right? But I could start by saying an underestimate of the area. Let's just see, how wide is it? That's a tick mark, a tick mark. How wide is this thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a triangle that's 6 units wide. How tall is it? 9 units tall. So I've got a triangle that's 9 by 6. We call the area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. And so that's 1/2 times 6 times 9. Half of 6 is 3. 3 times 9 is 27. What's the area underneath this parabola? Approximately 27. A little bigger than 27. You know, if you wanted to just take a guess, you could be like 27.5. Now you just sound confident, right? So there we go. You just did an integral, right? It's an approximate integral, but that's what an integral is. Okay, so when you look at a function like this parabola, you can either calculate slopes, you can calculate area, or more importantly, you just calculate how high up the y value is, right? How tall is the parabola? Like right here, how tall is the parabola? 5 units tall. Right here, how tall is it? 9 units tall. What about right here? How tall is it? 0 units tall. Okay, so these are the 3 basic things that we do with the graph all semester long. So let's now write them down. The 3 main things you can do, first is calculate the height of the function. Just how tall is it off the x-axis? Notice how high up is it? The height is very simple. That's equal to the y-coordinate, which you could, if you wanted to, write it as the y value. But keep in mind, the y value is simply f of x. F of x tells you the y value. When you actually plug a number in, like let's just try it once. Let's plug in the number 5. Because we know the height of the parabola when x is 5. When x is 5, how tall is the parabola? 9. So if I take this value right here and I say f of 5, let's just check. -5 squared plus 10 times 5 minus 16. That's -25 plus 50 minus 16. That's 25 minus 16. That's 9. Okay, good. That's what we thought. If you plug in x equals 5, the height is 9. So f of 5 literally is equal to 9, the height. And that's why we say that f of x is the height. So f of x, the function itself, anytime you plug a number into the function itself, what did it just tell you? The height. The height of the function above the x-axis. That's key. F of x means the height. The second thing you can do is calculate slope of the graph at any point. Slope of graph at any point. And we have to invent a new symbol for that because we don't already have symbols to say what's the slope at any point on the graph. And we call that f prime of x. F prime of x is a new function, a whole new function. But if you plug x into it, it's going to tell you the slope. So that's what we have to learn how to do over the next couple months. Is how do we come up with this one? I know that f of x is -x squared plus 10x minus 16. F prime of x is a totally different function. But if I plug in 5, what should it equal? No, the slope. 0. So there's going to be a whole new function called f prime of x that if I plug in 5, it should tell me 0. If I plug in 1, 2, 3, if I plug in 3, it should give me a positive answer. And or if I plug in 6, 7, it should give me a negative answer. So this f prime of x is a whole new function that we're going to learn how to find. And when you plug in any x value, it's going to literally tell you the slope of the curve at that point. Okay, so f of x tells you the height, whereas f prime of x tells you the slope. Okay, and finally, the last thing that you can do with anything is find the area under the curve between 2 x values. So for instance, the very first question that I did with you is I said, what was all the area underneath this parabola? So we were looking at the area between 2 and 8. All right, that's the first thing we did. We said, how much area is there total underneath this whole parabola? So that means find the area under the curve between 2 and 8. That was the first question. It doesn't have to be between 2 and 8. You can choose any two x values. I can say, what's the area under the curve between 2 and 3? I could just say, what's this area right there? Just how much area is right there? And so that's the third thing we're doing, is finding the area under the curve between any two x values. So between 2 and 3, what's the area under the curve? And that's called an integral. And so what I want us to write there now, writing down these big concepts, that's called an integral. And the way you do an integral, it's a long S with an f of x after it. That's a long S. Let me say that again. Here's a normal S. Here's a lowercase s. This is a calculus S. Okay, a couple of you laughed. I know. Sometimes terminology is a little fun. It's a long, skinny, tall S. The S literally means sum, the sum of all the area under the curve. So this long S means the sum of the area under the curve. So looking at our notation now, f of x represents, what does f of x represent? The height. What is f prime of x? The slope. And the long S of f of x is area. Now, no one says long S, we just say integral of. So if you want to write this down in words then, this, you read it as f of x. This, you say f prime of x. And this, you say integral of f of x. That's how you read all that. It's the normal casual English while talking with other people. So again, that covers everything we're going to do all semester, right there. Tattoo that on your arm. Right, so you always remember, f of x is the height, f prime of x is the slope, integral of f of x is the area. And those are the big concepts. Yeah. That's true, they do go on forever. Right, it's always trapped between the function and the x-axis. We're always finding the area trapped between the function and the x-axis. Henry, thanks. Great question. Let's see that right away. Here's a function, and it goes bloop, doop, 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 doop. And what is my integral going to find? It's going to find the area between the function trapped between the x-axis and the function. This right here is always the area we're finding. We're finding the area trapped between the function and the x-axis. That's always the area we're looking at. Henry, does that answer your question? Yeah, exactly right. Very good. We're not going to get into integrals until the second half of this course, so like until March. But that's what we're talking about. Because you're right, a parabola is infinitely tall, and it goes down forever. So the area would technically be infinite if you did all the area. But we're just doing the area trapped between the x-axis and the function. All right, well, very nice, folks. These are our main ideas. So now let's go ahead and try it. Let's try this a few times. Let's look at our parabola. We're going to find the height of a few things. We're going to find the slope of a few things. And then we're going to find the integral or the area of a few things. So let's start with height. Okay, that's the main concept. Height is f of x. F of x is always height. So what is f of 2? What does that even mean? That means if you let x equal 2, okay, so I'm going to go over here and label this 1, 2, 3. Everybody, you should label it too. 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. When x is 2, what is the height of the function? 0. Right? Because when x is 2, the parabola is right on the x-axis, so the height is 0. And you can even label the y-axis as well. That's 1, that's 2, and so on. So when f of 2 equals 0, that means if you let x equal 2, the parabola is 0 inches tall, or 0 feet tall. What about f of 4? That means let x equal 4. When x equals 4, what is the height of our parabola? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. When x equals 4, going straight up here, the height is 8. Yeah, you should really label all these so you can see them immediately for what they are. There we go. Yeah, so when x is 4, the height is 8. What about when x is 5? When x is 5, what is the height? 9. What about when x is 6? What is the height? 8 again. This is parabola, it's coming back down. And what about when x is 8? What is the height? 0. Okay, now folks, right now, if you're sitting there thinking, this is easy. I'm not tricking you. This is easy, right? This is very basic. And we're going to do this all semester long. What's the height? What's the height? What's the height? It's just really literally questioning, asking, what's the height of the graph at that particular x value? So this isn't a trick. It's really that easy. We're just talking about the height of the function. Okay, so there we go. That's f of x. F of x always tells you the height. Okay, now f prime of x. Everyone write it again right next to it. F prime of x. We use the word prime. Do we use tick marks anywhere else? Let's see. We use apostrophes, like Bob's hat. Right? That's an apostrophe. In calculus, we're saying f prime of x. It's a little tick mark. It looks just like an apostrophe. We call it prime instead of an apostrophe. And that prime is telling you that it's not the original function f of x. It's this new function specifically designed to tell you slopes. So let's just say that we did know the slope formula. Then what would the slope be? This says f prime of 2. That means let x equal 2. So everybody go to x equals 2. And f prime of 2 means what's the slope of the function right there? And draw a little slope indicator. See, I'm just drawing a little quick little line there that's tangent to the curve. That's how steep it is. So what's the slope? Positive. That's the most we know right now. So we'll just say positive. F prime of 2 equals a positive number. We don't know what the positive number is yet because we haven't learned how to calculate it yet. But at the very least, we should all be able to say it's positive. It's a positive slope. What's f prime of 4? That means when x is 4, so everyone go to 4, go up to the graph, draw a little slope indicator there. That's the slope. Is it positive, negative, or 0? Still positive. So f prime of 4 should be a positive number. Again, we'll learn eventually how to actually calculate the number. Right now, we're just breaking it down into plus, minus, and 0. What about f prime of 5? When x is 5, what's the slope? 0. Draw a little slope indicator. A slope indicator is just a quick little line that you draw to make it more visually obvious what the slope is. So f prime of 5 is 0. What about f prime of 6? Let x equal 6. Go up to the graph, draw a little slope indicator. What's the slope? Negative. And then finally, f prime of 8. So I go to x equals 8. I draw a little slope indicator. What's the slope? Negative. Now again, this is not a trick. It is that easy, right? We'll eventually learn how to calculate the numerical answers, but being able to just look at a graph and saying, hey, the slope is positive, the slope is 0, the slope is negative. That's really important. That's the baseline skill that we're doing. How does everyone feel so far? Okay. All right, so next is the integral component. Integral has a little more notation. And I think I put that notation there for you to see. Oh, I still didn't have to raise that. Oh, well. Okay. So, find the area underneath the curve. So go ahead and take a look. I gave you the notation right there. That's the technical notation for how we do an integral. You've got the long S, which means sum of the area. The little a and the little b is telling you from where to where are you measuring the area. From where to where along the x-axis. And then f of x is just telling you which function we're looking at. So right now, let's go ahead and start interpreting this. This first problem right here says, and I'm going to write it in English, I hope you do too. Find the area under f of x. And again, what that means is under f of x, but stopped by the x-axis. It's trapped between the function and the x-axis. The x-axis is always the lower boundary. So find the area under f of x between x equals 4 and x equals 6. Oh, I should really just move my board down so I have a good picture. There we go. Oh, darn it. So, oh, I don't want to do that. What do I got for myself? I want to be able to draw on it. Okay, so everyone already probably wrote it. I'm going to write it again. Find the area under f of x between x equals 4 and x equals 6. Okay, so now let's go do that. It's going to be approximate, but we're going to do it. Everybody draw on your graph now. So you already have it all labeled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we want to go between 4 and 6. So start at 4 and draw a nice vertical line straight up. Go to 6, draw a nice vertical line straight up. And then do a little top mark there. And let's find that area. That right there is what this problem is stating. When we say find the integral from 4 to 6 of f of x, that's how you say that. Find the integral from 4 to 6 of f of x. We're looking for that area right there. Now we can't calculate it exactly because it's a curvy shape, and we don't know how to find the curvy shapes yet. But we can approximate it. What can we roughly say that this thing is? Could we just call it a rectangle? I mean, roughly speaking. Let's pretend it's a rectangle that I'm going to finish it off here. Let's call it this rectangle. Okay, we're going to find that whole rectangle. The area we want is a little less than that. So let's just know we need to make it a little less. But what's the area of that rectangle? So the formula for a rectangle is base times height. And so the base, how wide is the base? 2, and the height is 9. So the area turns out to be 18, but a little less than 18. How much less than 18? Maybe, what's it? Yeah, maybe one less. So you want to say the area is 17? Maybe? Does that sound reasonable? We're going to say the answer is approximately 17. And there, we just did an integral. Our answer is not accurate, but it's really close. It's really close to the real answer. Okay, let's do another one. Now we want to find the integral from 2 to 3 under f of x. So again, we're finding the area underneath f of x between 2 and 3. So go to your graph. Here's my 2. Here's my 3. Draw a line straight up. Trace off the curve. Now we want to find this area. How much area is there? Roughly speaking. Does that look like a rectangle? Looks like a triangle. Let's use a triangle formula. So again, the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. How wide is the base? 1. And how tall is it? Yeah, 5. It goes all the way up to 5. So there we have it. Half of 1 is 1/2 times 5 is 2.5. I'd say that's pretty close. I mean, is it bowing out or bowing in? Would it be slightly more than 2.5 or slightly less than 2.5? Slightly more, because it's bowing out a little bit. So it's a little bit more than 2.5, but I'm just going to say approximately 2.5. Could be a little more, so we could say like 2.6. Okay, let's try one more. We want to find the integral from 6 to 7 of f of x. That means we're going to draw our line. So, between 6 and 7. This one green. There we go. Like this. I want to find all that area right there. The area underneath the function, bounded below by the x-axis, that area between 6 and 7. How much area is that? What shape does that look like? Oh, I like that. Let's do a rectangle with a triangle on top. Or ice cream with a cherry on top. There we go. So we've got one area and another area, and let's add the two areas together. So this is a rectangle. The bottom one, so base times height, the base is what? 1, and the height is 5. Okay, so the rectangle has an area of 5. How about the triangle up here? Again, that's 1/2 base times height, and the base is still 1, and the height is this time 1, 2, about 3 maybe? I mean, this is all just ballpark anyway, right? So half of 3 is 1.5, but it is bowed out a little bit, so it'd probably be a little more than 1.5. So anyway, 5 plus 1.5 is 6.5, maybe a little bigger. And so we'd say the answer is a little bigger than 6.5. What questions do you want to ask right now? Because what we basically just talked about is that in calculus, we're going to find the slope of curvy things, and we're going to find the area of curvy things. And we have notation for this. And the notation is f of x is the height, f prime of x is the slope, and integral of f of x is the area. Yeah, those are our notations. So, what would you like to ask so far? Even if it's not a question, maybe you just have a comment. Like, I'm gonna write this down real quick. F of x is the height or the y value. F prime of x is the slope. And the integral of f of x is the area. Like I said, you should all tattoo that on your face, on your arm, somewhere you can see. Because these are the main ideas we'll do all semester long. And I say you should memorize this right up front, because every semester I teach this, even 4 months into it, I have people who forget which one is which again. Like, let's make that today's goal. Let's memorize absolutely, make flashcards if you wish. F of x is the height, F prime of x is the slope, and integral of f of x is the area. So what are your thoughts and feelings? I'm just going to stand here and awkwardly stare at you for 10 seconds until someone says something.
So I don't know.
Thank you,
How the time last time?
Yes.
You know how we did triangle?
Yeah, you did the triangle up top and the rectangle down below,
Yeah.
and then we added them together.
Yeah, is that gonna happen?
Well, what we're doing right now is just kind of approximating the answers. We're going to learn how to actually do it. And when you actually
learn how figure how much area that is, but not figure
right, yeah, we'll learn the actual calculus method, which will just tell you how much area is there.
not like.
Yeah, not piecewise like that. Yeah. Okay, good question. Other thoughts? Maybe even just how you're feeling right now. Henry, how you feeling?
Well, I want to ask, I feel like base one is base two.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The area of a trapezoid. No, that's a good question. 1/2 B1 plus B2 times the height. So if you had a trapezoid and it looked like this would be one base, this would be the other base, this would be the height, and then that's how you calculate it. Other thoughts, Molly? Nothing right now, Fatima? Sure. One. JR? No? Right, Henry?
Yeah, so, like, what application water display
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, essentially these functions that you have, that we're using, all of these functions, the area is going to represent something in particular, such as total interest earned from the bank. So, for instance, let's just say that you had a curve. This is totally just an example, okay? I'm making it up. Well, let's say that you did have a curve that was, say, representing interest in your account, and you want to find out how much money you, and so this is time. And so you have year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, and so on. And you might want to just know how much interest did I earn between year 2 and 3. And depending on what function you use, you could make a function such that the area is telling you the interest that you earned. So if you just found the area between 2 and 3, you'd just be looking at the interest you earned that year. As opposed to if you went all the way from 1 to 4, now you're looking at how much interest you earned from the bank over the course from year 1 to year 4. So again, this is a totally constructed example. But I'm just trying to say that the area typically represents something interesting, like total interest that you've earned, or the total distance that you've traveled in a car, for instance. Does that answer your question? Okay, yeah, all right, Rosa?
Do you know how to do F of X, the Y value?
Yeah.
So why would we?
Why? Why? Go ahead.
No. So then, the X equals 6, like, how does that?
Oh, you mean the 4 and the 6? Yeah. The 4 and so that's just notation telling you from where to where you want to find your area. You always need those numbers there because otherwise you're like, well, what area do you want? Do you want all the area, just part of the area? So that 4 and the 6 is just telling you the left bound and the right bound for where you want to find your area. We're basically always finding slices of the area. That's a good question, like slices of a cake. You just want a slice of the area. What do you
always
find
need
the whole?
2 numbers, obviously.
Yes, there's the 2 numbers there, so you know where to cut your slices and where to find the area. Really good question. Chloe? Joshua? Okay, well, this is kind of nice. I mean, oh, by the way, my phone just went off. You all heard that. That's the 5-minute warning. So we have 5 minutes left until the end of class. Doesn't class end at 12:50? Okay. So we have 5 minutes left. That's just always to remind us that the class is almost over. I typically just keep giving some notes and then finish class. The song, by the way, I turned it off. You couldn't even hear it. It's REM, the end of the world as we know it, because it's the end of class as we know it. So, what do I want to say now, since we just have a couple minutes? Let's just wrap up. Your homework, again, this is all posted on Canvas. So you'll be able to go on the Canvas. I'm going to show you one more time where it is, because I want everybody to see. Because I did give you quite a few things to do, both online and bringing back on Thursday. So here's your Canvas course. You go in Canvas. If you click on the home button, that's just me kind of saying, hi, here's your syllabus, here's the textbook, here's the website to more, and then here's the course ID and your enrollment fee to get, to get access to the more website. But if you go into announcements and you click on takeaways from day 1, that's telling you everything I expect you to do today. So do the syllabus quiz, bring your personal information sheet. Oh, by the way, I give you the website for where this course is being recorded. So anytime you want to go watch the class again, you can go to that website. And then I've got all this extra credit right here. Okay, so that's all there. I might as well show you also, if you click on mod, oh no, I didn't do it yet. Under modules, I'm gonna click all the electronic copies of all the documents we ever use. So if you ever lose your photocopy or whatever, you can print it out yourself. Yeah, that's all we got. Joshua.
So when you turn in our notes, when you turn in our notes for the test, we will tell you.
Right, that one I'm not going to collect. That was just for you, so you can take it home, put it under your pillow, and keep it for the rest of your life. But yes, the ones that I pass out to you, I'll let you know. This is one that I'm collecting on the day of class. Anyone else? Okay, well, hey, I just want to praise you all. Again, you're here instead of eating lunch. That's great. Oh, by the way, speaking of lunch, Joshua asked a good question. Are you allowed to eat in the classroom? I went outside and I looked at the door, and there was a sign right outside the door that said, first of all, peanut allergy, deadly peanut allergy. There are students who are in this classroom throughout the day that have peanut allergies, so definitely you can't bring peanuts in here. It even says to wash your hands before you come to the room. Second of all, it says only sealed water bottles, no food. So I really do ask that you try to eat before you come to class, but I recognize if you have some emergency and you need to eat a granola bar or something, I understand. All right, folks. If you have any questions, come talk to me. I'm going up to my office hours right now. If you want to follow me up there, you can.